higher level of understanding of the new information, and importantly, it'll take you to a higher level of understanding about the old information. I promise you, by the time you're done with this series, you're going to come away with knowledge, new levels of knowledge about stuff you already know, but you don't realize the nuance of it because you haven't seen it in this pattern before. And that's why, to me, this is a really exciting way to learn new information connected to old information. And I'm really happy to do this. So what I want to do is to show you, let me kind of bring it on the court here. I want to show you how the ideas, theories, and concepts of this incredible book, which I highly recommend having it in your, in your library if you don't already have it. I think everyone should have a copy of Emotional Intelligence, but take this book, right, and then add to it what's missing or evolve into the next step. And so, well, what's missing, right? So emotional intelligence talks about what emotional intelligence is, which I'll define it in just a moment by way of review. But I found, for myself anyway, there's not enough detail into the how do you actually create emotional intelligence? How do you actually work with it? How do you actually cause it to come into being for yourself? Like, what are the 4 quadrants? How do you develop them? And that's what I'm going to teach you. Why and how? Because by practicing the leadership space here, you will actually become a master of emotional intelligence. By practicing the leadership space, you will naturally acquire a deep competency in how to use the 4 quadrants of EQ. So that's what this series is going to be about. So let's take a look here. How are we going to get into this? What are we going to learn? Let me give you a fundamental takeaway, a fundamental concept that will thread through everything we're about to learn. And if you come away with, and I'll make a promise, if you watch all these videos, you will come away with a fundamental understanding of this really key concept. And if you can practice this key concept, you will be operating at a higher level of emotional intelligence than 99% of the people around you, which will give you effectiveness in communication, effectiveness in influence, in persuasion, in the ability to resolve conflicts, in leadership, which is the whole point of all of this, right? So what is this basic deep concept? I call it self-other awareness. Okay? Self-other awareness. That's the idea. Now, why is this such an important concept? Why is it so rich? Well, let's take a look at the basic idea of emotional intelligence, just as a way of review. Like, think to yourself, remember, maybe you've read this book, maybe you've watched videos, maybe you've heard about it, in different conversations. What is emotional intelligence and how does it work and what's the point of it? Well, emotional intelligence is the capacity of self-awareness that allows you to see into your own being. What are the emotions you're experiencing? What are the messages coming from those emotions? What is that emotional content giving you about cues of the environment? So you're aware of your own emotions, but moreover, you're able to regulate those emotions. You're able to actually regulate your experience. You're able to also experience what other people feel to get a sense of what their emotions are and what's going on for them, and you're able to influence them. So in a nutshell, emotional intelligence is the ability or capacity to be aware of your own emotional state and the emotional states of others, and to be able to work with, negotiate through, and influence other people in relationship toward outcomes that you want to create, right? And I'm not saying manipulate, I'm saying cause-effective connection, cause-effective relating, right? That's what emotional intelligence is all about. It's not just about IQ, right? It's about EQ. Well, in what I just said, you'll see as we work through the 4 quadrants that self-other awareness is the key competency. This is the competency you want to come away with. And why is that? Let's look at the 4 quadrants. Do you know what they are? Do you know what they are? What are the 4 quadrants? First of all, self-awareness. Quadrant 1, self-awareness. And so I'll do a video on self-awareness. I'll open it up, show you how to acquire it, practice it, etc. Quadrant 2, you know what it is? Self-regulation, right? So self-awareness, the ability to see into your own psychology, the ability to see into your own emotional state, what's happening, how's it moving, how's it changing. Regulation, being able to affect it, influence it, to be in self-control, to have an impact on yourself. Okay, those are the first 2 quadrants. What are the other 2? Well, other awareness. So you're not just aware of your own emotions, you're aware of the emotions of others, the states of consciousness of others. And then what? you can call it other influence, or you can call it relationship management. It's called different things in different literature, right? So I'm just going to call it other influence to kind of stay with our pattern. But do you see what's happening? Self and other, right? So look at this. Self, other awareness. That's what emotional intelligence ultimately is. Self, other awareness. I'm aware of my own self. I'm aware of you. And then what does that give me? It gives me the competency to be able to influence and connect with you in a way that creates effectiveness. And ultimately, I like to call self, other awareness really the ability to sense your influence on others or your impact on others, right? So think about it this way. Let's say you walk into a meeting and maybe you're in a bad mood. Maybe you just had something happen and it's like, it's really under your skin, but you've got to have a meeting with your team. And maybe it's a brainstorming session. Maybe it's a soundboarding session or a problem solving session. And you really want to get people to talk. But as you open up the meeting, you're recognizing people are like kind of closed. You don't really know why. Well, if you had self-other awareness, you would recognize that you're putting out a mood of tension or a mood of repressed anger. And other people at a gut level feel it. They're like, something's wrong with the boss today. I don't know what it is, but I feel like he's going to bite my head off or she's going to bite my head off and I don't know what it is. And it's because behind the scenes, behind your face, right, you're pushing back your own upset, right? And so other people are sensing that. Well, self-other awareness would have you recognize, wait a second, the reason my team's not communicating is because I'm holding on to this negativity and I haven't released it. And so because of that, I'm not able to have the conversation go the way I want it to. Whereas if I have effective self-other awareness, if I can practice all 4 quadrants, then I can get out of this negative space or bracket it, set it aside, and open up the space for communication with my team so that we can have an effective meeting. And so here's the point. That's what the leadership space is about. It's literally about how do you become competent and even gain mastery over these 4 quadrants so that you can actually use them, like driving a car, like operating an engine, like actually being able to do it so that you create the space. This will become a key point throughout the lesson. You create the space for interaction, for influence, for relating, for creating. And that's the beauty of this whole series and of this lesson. So I'm very excited. See you soon.